Hey friends, so today we are making a darling iron-on craft with our Cricut and an iron, a traditional iron. There is not a heat press in sight. We are going to make fun crafts with our iron and our Cricut. You are crafting with Kim Byers. Let's go. Okay, so first point, iron. What kind of iron can you use to do iron-on crafts? Well, the answer is any iron you have in your laundry room, okay? So there's nothing specific when you get to the irons. There are a couple of tips and tricks I'm going to teach you in a minute that, how to use that iron to the best of its ability. But guys, we're just gonna be using a traditional iron. So here we go, guys. So this is the iron that we are going to be using, traditional iron. So I have a Black & Decker. This is just what I have in my laundry room. Honestly, I don't even use an iron very much anymore, but this is what we're going to use for today's craft. And the next thing that we want to talk about, number 2, is we want to talk about the material that you're ironing onto. Now this does matter. So it's just as if you were ironing anything traditional. So if you were ironing silk, you would treat it different than if you were ironing cotton, right? So it's kind of the same concept when it comes to your iron and using that for iron on. A little side note here, iron on is this equivalent to HTV or heat transfer vinyl. So if you are new to Cricut and you're just getting going on this, there's a lot of terminology that gets thrown around, so just be clear that iron on is HTV. Same thing, HTV, heat transfer vinyl is iron on. Next thing, number 3, you want to talk about the iron on temperature, right? So again, temperature does matter, so it matters what type of material you are ironing onto, and it matters what type of iron-on you're using. So you could be using glitter iron-on, or you could be using foil iron-on, or what we call everyday iron-on, which is just a general iron-on. So these are iron-on vinyl, HTV, but there are multiple kinds of iron-on. My tip to you here is to use the Cricut Heat Guide. I know you don't own a heat press. I get that, but you're going to use the guide that they prepared for the materials, because there's tons of things from that guide you can still use and learn by using the guide with your traditional iron. So a couple of things. If you're looking at the heat guide, you've put in, because you can do that, you actually put in what type of materials you're using and what you're going to iron it onto. So we've chosen glitter and we're putting that on cotton. You notice it's telling you a temperature. Well, I get your iron isn't going to go to a specific temperature, but you can look at the other things. So it is telling you that you need to do it for 60 seconds, and it is telling you that you need to do a cool peel. Now, we're going to make a craft, and we're going to talk about this as we go through it. It's a little bit different, again, traditional iron, but the knowledge that you're getting from this tool is important. This is good stuff. This is really good stuff. Okay, so this is the project that we're going to make. So we're just gonna go ahead and use our straight edge trimmer, cut out our materials, put them on the mat. I'm using the Cricut Joy, but you could use any of the Cricut machines to create these iron-on projects. And then we'll just go ahead and cut and weed and get everything ready to go. But before we press, I want to tell you a couple more things. Number 4. Number 4. I do know my numbers, guys. So number 4, we are going to use our traditional iron, but we are not going to use steam. You do not want to use steam. Never use steam when you're ironing on to material with your traditional iron. The reason is the moisture will keep it from adhering. Okay, so don't use steam. Just go ahead and turn it off right now. Turn it off. And the 5th thing, super important, do not move it around. No, don't actually iron. We're not going to actually iron anything, right? We're going to press. So if you think about a heat press, the whole point is you press, right? One time. You're just down, hold up. So it's the same thing with your iron. You don't want to actually iron anything. You want to press something. So that's what we're going to do today, is we are going to press. Okay, so we have our towel and I have my design set up. You can make sure that you measure depending on what kind of design it is. So I know that we're in the center. Okay, and the important thing with this is you can take something like parchment paper and cover that up so that you don't risk getting anything on your iron. And then we are going to have a steady, firm pressure. Okay, so this is when that heat guide comes into play. So we are going to use it as a baseline, but basically you're going to have to double to triple whatever time it is telling you to press, because you are not going to be able to get a consistent heat. I recommend that you double the number of seconds and then allow it to cool and do a test peel from a corner. And if it looks like everything is fine, then we'll just keep going. And if for some reason at any point items want to pull away, then you're just going to lay that liner back down and go again. Okay, nice. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is we're going to hang on to this liner and set that to the side, and we're going to take the next color and then we're going to overlay that onto the first. Okay, so now we just repeat that process over again. We lay that back down and press. There are a few negatives to using an iron. You are going to have to double or triple the time it takes for you to press. You may have to do it multiple times. You're going to need to use some sort of a timer, and you could get press marks like the shape of the iron on your design, because a heat press is a flat square. You don't have to worry about that with a heat press. And last but not least, what about washing these? They are not going to last as long as something on a heat press. How do you wash these iron-on projects that are made with a traditional iron? Okay guys, if you liked this video, I would so appreciate you hitting the like button. That lets me know that you enjoyed it and that I should be making more of this kind of thing. And I hope that you will check out what's next.